Good morning. Please remain seated and greet each other in worth and dignity. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Transylvania County. I'm Janice Cannon. I'm your worship associate for today. Each of us here are the worthy parts that make up the whole of this congregation. We are a community who welcome diversity, and we're glad you joined us today. We welcome any visitors who have come here today and encourage you to join us in our coffee hour after the service to get to know us. And thank you for coming out on a rainy day. I missed it, whatever it was. Yeah, this Wednesday is Wonderful Wednesday, where we can join together and have a meal together, a delicious meal. It starts at 5:30 p.m., and the sign-up sheet is on the front counter in the lobby, so we can get a count for who all is coming. It's followed at 6:30 by a very special evening of music performed by Jesse and Kara Iaquinto of Fireside Collective fame, Sharon Gublo's son and daughter-in-law. And they just discovered that their dobro player, Tommy Mayer, will also be joining them. This will be a fun and uplifting time of loving music, and you can come to one or both of these events for an opportunity to socialize and enjoy some great music. This morning is our women's service, in case you couldn't tell, entitled Flow Water. Our speaker today is Reverend Susan Moseley, who is no stranger to us. In fact, since retiring and moving to Brevard last April, she joined this congregation, made good friends, and is currently serving as president-elect of the board. Susan holds 2 seminary degrees, a master's and doctorate in religious education, and a certificate in spiritual direction from the Hayden Institute in Hendersonville. Vanessa Cowie, Tricia Wesley, Alice Welburn, and Jovi Powers will also contribute to today's service. Vanessa is a proud UU who believes love is at the center. Tricia is not only a part of the UUTC staff, but she wholeheartedly believes in UUTC's mission of spreading love, equality, and acceptance to everyone. Alice Welburn is passionate about children and public schools and values kindness and generosity in all of life's interactions and activities. And Jovi Powers, who is our youngest woman up here today, is a straight-A student and just attended junior prom last night. Let us now take a moment to center ourselves in worship with Carlene's prelude. going to do things a little bit differently today. After the chalice lighting, we'll have the children come forward to light, and then we will sing them out. In times of trials, we take time to sit with our grief, confusion, anger, and our hopes. We are able to be together here with our congregation to address our Unitarian Universalist fourth principle, which is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We light this chalice in love for all those who are courageous to dive deeply, seeking our grounded spiritual authenticity and peace. Peace be with you and our blessing. Peace be with you and our blessing. Peace be with you and our blessing as you leave us now. Peace be with you and our blessing. Peace be with you and our blessing. Peace be with you and our blessing as you leave us now. This is our time for our joys and sorrows. We will light candles and lift up those in our congregation who share with us. Okay, we'll start with a joy. Tricia has a joy this morning to have her mother, husband, and daughter at the service today. We're very happy about that too, Tricia. I don't know who this is from, but prayers for the young man needing mental health help on Saturday night in the UUTC parking lot. We hope that he got the help that he needed and is continuing to get it. A candle of joy from Vanessa for community coming together and hands off for social justice all over the United States. We all celebrate with you. During the coffee hour, we'll have an opportunity to reach out to those who have shared with us today. Our opening hymn is number 354, We Laugh, We Cry, verses 1 and 4, and the words will be on your screen. Please stand as you're able. Any good CEO knows the impact on the employees of system changes in the company. So much has been researched about this that upper management first reviews how to make the changes and how to implement the changes to support the workforce with the least disruption possible. For the last 2.5 months, we have been witnessing firsthand what happens when the impact of change is not analyzed and implemented in humane ways that support those in charge and the citizens. We're witnessing people losing life-saving health care, losing their jobs, the freeing of violent and predatory criminals, threats of taking away earned income and health care from senior citizens, people being shipped off to concentration camps without due process, and a myriad of other actions that seem deliberate to harm the people in our country. This is no longer anything about politics. It's about morals, integrity, compassion, empathy, truth, and responsibility. Over the years, women have made such progress from voting and financial rights to autonomy over our own bodies. As we wade through this storm, today we will hear from 3 women who courageously will speak through the emotions associated with the many women's rights that are being threatened. We've come to realize that the world needs more deep feeling souls. We seek to find the ways that will nurture us from overwhelm to some kind of peace.
40 years ago, my husband and I spent a day snatched out of all time, before and since, the first day we cradled the weight of our daughter in our arms. There was a time holding her, amazed at the tiny circle of her mouth, the tender folds of her skin waiting to be filled with pulsing blood and muscle, that every breath I took jerked tears from my chest. Tears of sadness, tears of joy, I called them, but they were tears of sadness too. Tears for the times her heart would break. Tears for the betrayals that would flay her. Tears for the knowledge that I, her mother, and her country and the world would fall short of the perfection that she and every child deserves. As she grew, there was more joy in knowing, partly because she was born in the time and place and circumstances that she was, she had choices. She had choice over what books she read, what sports she played, her friends, her clothes, her music, her beliefs. She learned that her country was never perfect, but that unlike the women she read about in history books, she could count on the right to vote and speak and write and sing and march, to carry on the joyful work of bringing about a beloved community in this country, on this earth. She chose to work in the field of science, to protect the planet and its people. When my son was born, I felt the same way, and now I want to give his children the unicorns and rainbows and dragons they delight in. I want to give them the world I dream of. A world where diversity is welcome, where people embrace equity and draw ever larger circles of care and inclusion, where people work together to heal conflicts and brokenness. A world that seemed so close just a few months ago. Our ancestors, spiritual and moral as well as biological, have held us in this hope and love for untold generations. But the world I and you wake up to these last few weeks is enough to scatter the empty shells of those dreams. Powerful people in this country plan a different world in which women do not vote, do not choose when or whether to have children, are silenced when our country forsakes caring for tender human bodies from other nations, and this one, are persecuted for loving whom they love. It's enough to splinter your heart. Great Spirit of love and mystery, we have swallowed this bitterness before, and some of our siblings have swallowed it longer. Some days it seems the only appropriate action is to weep. Yet, I remember my grandmother inspiring me to look on the trees and mosses as my relatives. I remember riding a yellow school bus with my mother to the gold-domed Capitol in Atlanta to speak truth to power about underpaid school teachers. I remember my mother and father marching in the wake of Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy in the 60s, and I have hope, an active, muscular hope, that grandchildren, my children, your children, our children and grandchildren, and all the other beloveds are joining generations in a human arc bending toward justice, a rainbow emerging from our tears.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here today with my mother, daughter, husband, and friends joining us. When Janice asked me to speak briefly during the service, I was filled with anxiety about public speaking and creating a message about being a woman in today's overwhelming world. Well, I remembered I was speaking to friends, and that helped. But the part about being a woman, I immediately thought of my children, being a mom of 3, Luke and Jovi, and my bonus daughter, Liv. Being a mother has given me so much happiness as a woman, but also so much worry about my children's happiness, health, and safety. With all that is happening in our country and worldwide, it is hard not to feel anxious about my children, especially my girls. I want them to be confident, independent, and secure. But will this world let them? I've laid in bed worrying so much about things that are out of my control, I had to get a prescription to help me sleep. I would love to wake up each day and decide that I will spread light out into the dark world and not fall further into the rabbit hole of depression out of things that are out of my control. I want to have the confidence that I have done a decent job as a parent in helping my kids be their own advocates in life with the help of our family circle. I am thankful for the commitment of my children's other parents, and we have gone through parenthood with every age being a new experience. With the OWL program's help, we have educated them on their reproductive rights and choices. Making sure our girls know that their choices are with their own bodies, even if the outside world may tell them differently. We have nurtured them to have self-confidence and respect for themselves and others, but have I done enough? What else can I do to make their lives better? How can I help make this world better when I am just one person? I toss and turn, often wishing this world was a better place. Friends, I will tell you what I do when I'm at a loss. I call my mom. We call her Mima. She always answers with the most lovely, positive greeting, no matter what time of day. I explain my anxiousness and worries about my kids and the world. I spill all the beans to her of what is on my heart and how dark I find the world. She listens patiently and gives me the advice I often hear from her. Tricia, you can only control yourself. I am reminded I can't make all my kids' problems go away. I can't control much of what they do or say anymore. I can't change the voting outcome and the terribleness of our country. I can't fix all of my extended family's problems. I have to consider what I can immediately do to help the situation. My answer is love. The one thing I want my children and those around me to know is that they are loved by me. Loved unconditionally, loved because of our differences, loved because that is what God would want. That is something I can control. Unfortunately, not everyone knows what it means to be loved. At the early age of 13, my mother lost her mother to cancer. My grandmother died, leaving behind 6 kids under the age of 16. When I asked my mom about her memories of her mother, there is one that stood out. She does not remember getting any hugs or kisses from her mom. She knew she was loved by her, but that physical touch was not a memory. When I heard this, I was surprised and saddened for my mom and her siblings. As awful as losing her mother was, I believe it shaped my own mother into the independent, hardworking, and fun-loving person she is. She is a light in this world of darkness. For being such a little lady in a big world, she is a powerful force of calmness, and she is the calm to my anxiousness. What can I control? The best answer is love. I can love my children and give them as many hugs and kisses as they allow. I could love my husband, share a happy life with him, and enjoy having a supportive partner. And I can love those that cross my path in life. I want everyone to know what love is. Yes, this world is scary. Yes, it is unfair and tragic, and it brings unhappiness. But what can I do and what can you do? You can love. I want to love like Jesus wants us to love, which is everyone. I want to show this world love because, after all, I could only control myself.
Show up, pay attention, speak your truth, don't be attached to outcome. That's my goal, except that I just can't stop being really, really attached to outcome. And that is where my outrage lives, because I'm not just angry, I'm outraged. Outraged by the glee with which our country's leaders harm the vulnerable and spread fear, and really do so for money and power, but mostly money. The largest vulnerable population is women, and God help any woman who's also lesbian or trans or black or brown or Jewish or Muslim. 3 strikes and you're out. But don't get angry, that's not feminine. As the proverb says, it's better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. Women are allowed to be angry in their place as a mother or as a teacher, but anger in the traditional male arena, politics, business, invites negative consequences. Threatening women with rape is a time-honored way in which angry men who are threatened by women restrict women's freedom to move about the world and speak their minds. It's a weapon of war. So now we have women dying in parking lots because of draconian anti-abortion laws, which are actually anti-women laws. We watch as women who try to hold powerful men in politics accountable for sexual misconduct, Anita Hill, Christine Blasey Ford, E. Jean Carroll, are discounted and made out to be liars. Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris apparently slept their way to the top, right? Right? Donald Trump is president because our country didn't want to vote for the 2 women he defeated. He has never defeated a man. So, what to do in a political situation that often feels hopeless and ridiculous? Outrage is a strong motivator to take action, particularly when fighting for a righteous cause. Maxine Waters, a famous political fighter, said, "I have a right to my anger, and I don't want anybody telling me I shouldn't be, that it's not nice to be, that something's wrong with me because I get angry." Elizabeth Warren violated a Senate rule. She was warned. Mitch McConnell explained it to her. Can't you just imagine him mansplaining to Elizabeth Warren? Right. But nevertheless, she persisted. And that's what I've decided to do as far as my energy, spirit, and strength allow. Persist while trying to pay attention to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's wisdom. Anger and resentment sap energy better devoted to productive endeavors. As Rosa Parks said, I decided that I would have to know once and for all what rights I had as a human being and a citizen. Well, me too. And we can all get out there and do something to protect the things we're passionate about. And in the end, everything is a women's issue for UUs because we acknowledge the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Show up, pay attention, speak your truth. But I won't stop being attached to outcome. Thank you.
Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down, like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines, digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meetings of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
Our congregation is our oasis, our support. Our charitable giving this month is to the Children's Center, a center that coordinates services for children who are at risk of or victims of neglect and abuse in Transylvania County. Use the envelope provided in the offering basket to contribute to this worthy charity, and please give freely as our ushers collect the offering. Take a moment to get comfortable as we go into our reflection. Spirit of love and life and light, we bring our sorrows, our fears, and our anger to place upon the altar of the universe. We seek to use our emotions that stand as warnings to find right actions that they may make a difference in our lives and in our country. We are grateful for these courageous women who have taken the risk to speak from their souls this morning, knowing that keeping these feelings inside without expression does not provide a clear path in our daily lives. Our hearts go out to all those who suffer under this regime, that they may receive comfort and help. May we use our loving presence to do whatever is necessary to let it be known we will not allow our people to be treated as less than human. May we continuously choose love as our guiding light. We take a few moments of silence. In the name of Goddess, God, and all there is, we say Amen. In the midst of pain, I choose love. In the midst of pain, I choose love.
We are grieving so much loss right now. And today, specifically, we lament for all the ways women's rights are being disrupted, damaged, and demolished. And yet, destruction is not the last word. Even in dark times like now, we have choices to make, we have courage to muster, we have hope to kindle. When asked to speak at this service, I thought about the strong women in my life, and there have been many. But for this moment, this occasion, one name rises above the others. Dr. Isabel Wood Rogers, or better known to her students and colleagues as Dr. Izzy. Dr. Izzy was professor of historical theology and ethics at the Presbyterian School of Christian Education in Richmond, Virginia, where I received my master's in religious education. PSCE, as it was known, eventually merged with the seminary across the street and is now Union Presbyterian Seminary. I studied under Dr. Izzy in the late 1970s. She was a feminist and an environmentalist way before her time, way ahead of her time. Dr. Izzy modeled for me the balance between intellectual rigor and spiritual depth. She encouraged her students to value the insights of both faith and reason, seeing them not as opposing forces, but as complementary paths to truth. Despite the cultural and religious restraints of her time, Dr. Izzy openly challenged biblical patriarchy and the idea of a cosmic hierarchy. I know you're familiar with this. God, the male God, deity, at the top. Above men, and below men are women, and below women are children, and then nature at the bottom, to be tamed and exploited for human benefit. In place of that hierarchy, Dr. Izzy opened to her students a much fuller understanding of divine love and our place in the interconnected web of life. Years later, in 1999, she wrote a groundbreaking pamphlet for Presbyterians entitled Toward a Liberating Faith, a primer on feminist theology. I tell you all this because in this time of rampant misogyny and racism and demeaning of human rights, it's the voice of Dr. Izzy that rises up for me and inspires me for this moment. Dr. Izzy asked a lot of questions, and she pushed her students and colleagues to do the same. And she encouraged us in our biblical theological studies to not take Scripture literally, but to wrestle with the ancient stories and mine them for deeper meanings and deeper layers of meaning. And so I want to briefly revisit one of those ancient stories, one of those ancient mythological stories that has been used actually to justify the oppression of women. But when seen with fresh eyes, it actually carries a message of courage and hope and transformation. It's a story of Adam and Eve. I was taught in Sunday school that this is a story of sin, of disobedience, and of a fall from grace. That Eve, the first woman, was deceived, and because of her, all humanity suffers. This interpretation has for centuries justified male dominance and painted women as dangerous, irrational, and in need of control. But what if that is not what the story is really about? What if instead of a fall, this is a story of humanity's rising, of becoming conscious, more whole? In the beginning, Adam and Eve live in Eden, paradise, but a paradise of innocence and naivete. They exist without struggle, without responsibility. In many ways, they are like children, untouched by the complexities of life. At the center of the garden stand two trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The fruit of both trees is forbidden. But a serpent offers Adam and Eve a piece of fruit from the tree of knowledge, promising them wisdom. And who reaches for it? Who dares to seek wisdom? It's Eve. The serpent has long been misunderstood as the enemy, as Satan. But many biblical scholars see the serpent instead as a symbol of transformation. Across cultures, the serpent represents wisdom, the shedding of old skins, the beginning of something new. Eve is not deceived, she's awakened. It is about growing up, becoming conscious, stepping into full awareness. This story is an archetypal story, not literal, but universally true. When Eve takes a bite of that fruit, her eyes are opened. She shares it with Adam, and his eyes are opened. They see the world as it truly is, and so they have to leave the easy paradise of innocence. They have to grow up. Eve and Adam awakened to the truth that human life is not a binary experience, not only good or evil. The human experience cannot be fully lived in an either-or world. It is a both and more world. Varied identities, many paths, multiple cultures, many choices, a rainbow of colors, and when it comes to truth, there is always more gray than black or white. I believe that this difficult time we are living in now is another moment of awakening. The forces of repression are trying to drag women back, not to paradise, but to a prison of silence and submission. but we cannot unsee what we have seen. We cannot unknow what we know. Like Eve, we have already taken the bite. Patriarchy wants women to believe that our worth is conditional, that we are valued only in relation to men as daughters, wives, and mothers, not the whole and autonomous beings that we are. Eve's story tells us who we are. It tells us that seeking knowledge and stepping into wisdom is to awaken to the truth that women do have power and agency, and that we are equal participants in the unfolding story of humanity. To leave Eden, that is, to live consciously as adults, means struggle, pain, and resistance. But it also means growth, love, and the power to create something new. And even when political forces try to silence us, to strip away our rights and our dignity, we are not powerless. And we cannot let fear take control of this moment. We, all of us, shape the future together through our collective action by building strong communities like this one, by supporting one another, by passing on knowledge and strategies for resistance. We also shape the future through art, through story, and through the quiet persistence of keeping hope alive. We don't know how the future will unfold, but we do know this: the story is not over. It never is. And as long as we stand together, as long as we choose courage over despair, as long as we refuse to surrender our dignity, we are shaping the world to come. And unlike that old interpretation of Adam and Eve, we are not falling. We are rising, and we rise together. May it be so.
Our closing hymn today we sang a few weeks ago with Scott and his Karen. The Tide is Rising. The words are going to be on the screen, and Carlene's going to help us by playing the first verse. Tide is rising, and so are we. Tide
No. Choose courage. Choose love. Seek wisdom. And may we rise together to shape our future. Go in peace.